You may have heard that turnout is the artistic expression of your hip sockets. So when it comes to a la seconde, what are we really doing? What's the goal? And how do we achieve it with less than 180-degree turnout? So often our skeletons are wishing we would figure out how to turn out better and more safely and to just keep our body working functionally. Today, I'm going to give you guys the structure, the process, the method to improving your turnout for a la seconde, how to utilize your a la seconde, and why bringing it forward isn't the answer. So if you're finally ready to unlock the mystery of a la seconde, join me. And let's dive into the artistic expression of your hip sockets. In order to begin this journey, we will start where all good dancers start, in parallel. What? Parallel? But that's not turned out. You're right. But it is the easiest place that we can go to find our external rotation. You see, turnout is all about this femur bone rotating externally. And this guy here has a lot to do with it. So when we stand in parallel, we place our hands on our hips and we externally rotate our legs by engaging the deep rotators that connect to that greater trochanter to externally rotate the femur. Now, the positions in ballet, first position, second position, third position, fourth position, fifth position, were all designed for specific purposes. First position is our foundation. It's our base. It's the position that all other positions grow out of. Second position, and what we'll be talking about mostly in this video, is what allows us to move side to side. Keep that in mind. Third position brings our feet a little bit more crossed, but not all the way. Fourth position allows us now to move forward, but also back. And fifth position brings everything across so that the center of our feet line up with the center of our head. But let's backtrack a second. We did first position, we did second position, and then we didn't talk about a la seconde. So what is a la seconde? A la seconde literally means of or relating to the second position. So here's where we go from there. We want to find our perfect second position. In order for this to happen, it will very much depend on how much external rotation of your femurs you can achieve. Usually, for most dancers, we're going to have less than 180-degree turnout, especially if you're an adult, a late starter, or someone who's just coming into ballet. Flat turnout really isn't achievable for many. Now, what I want you to do at home, find a line on the floor. Go to that line and make sure that your big toes are lined up with that line. Not on it, but just behind. Find your maximum rotation. So work on that rotation from here, and then bring that rotation into your first position. Very important here that our toes line up and our heels line up in that position, but not necessarily everything in one line. So the toes are not necessarily in line with the heels unless you have the rotation to support that. Big nuance coming in here though, guys. Pay attention to this one. When entering our first position, we're not going to stand with our feet together and go toes out. As soon as you do that, you're rotating from the ankles, you're reducing the rotation that you're actually doing from your hips, and you're torquing those knees. Very dangerous. Don't do it. Here's how we find the rotation in a more safe and gentle manner. Finding that rotation on one leg, externally rotate at the top of the leg without doing anything in your ankle. Just rotate the leg, place the leg down. Then you're going to match the rotation of the leg that you just put your weight onto with the leg that will eventually be your working leg. Whatever that rotation is, that's your starting position. That's your first. Now, in order to move from our first position to second position, we have to do what's called tendu a la seconde. So our tendu continues along the same line that our toes are connected to. So if you have that line on the floor, you can see I didn't move my leg farther back. I didn't move my leg farther forward. I continued my toe along the line. And even though my heel didn't come any farther forward, there's no reason for it to come farther forward because I don't have the turnout to get my heel flat to the front. This is very important, guys. Oftentimes when a teacher has said to you, bring your leg more forward so you can turn out more, what you're actually doing is faking the turnout of your working leg so that it's doing more than it can potentially sustain when it's up in the air. So now, as we bring that leg out to the side and we place it down on the floor, you can see that my heels are still in line with each other. My toes are still in line with each other, and my leg has gone laterally out to the side. It hasn't come slightly forward, because if I did that and placed my heel down, I wouldn't be in a nice second position. And if I continued that line and moved across, I would move on a diagonal. So as this leg goes out here, I'm going to move diagonally across, as opposed to being able to move side to side for a tendu. So I found my second position, I place my heel down, my legs are turned out as much as they possibly can, and I'm able to stand with a neutral pelvic alignment because I'm not forcing my heels forward, I'm not forcing my toes back, and I'm definitely not wrenching at my knees. My hips are supporting that rotation, and it's following naturally down through the line of my leg. Now, what happens as I lift my leg up? So if I go tendu to the side now, a la seconde, I haven't necessarily externally rotated anymore, but as I go to lift, what we can actually do is as my leg lifts up, we can glide the femur into more rotation. So from there, as the leg lifts, instead of it going diagonally forward like this, putting lots of pressure on the front and inside of your hip flexor, what we want to do is we want to rotate the femur so that it goes behind the iliac crest. So basically, it's going to look something like this. As your leg rotates, this greater trochanter is going to rotate behind the pelvic line, and that will allow for greater rotation of the leg as we lift the leg up. If I don't do that, and I start to go forward, it becomes harder and harder to get that greater trochanter to go behind because I'm not accessing the muscles that are going to rotate the femur, the deep rotators. Now, we have to be very careful, and this is why it's important to develop this skill for many years, because if you don't have the strength to find that rotation and then rotate in the opposite direction on your standing leg, when you go to lift your leg, you might end up doing this and twisting into this position. Your leg has now come into a front alignment because you don't have the muscular support to stabilize it. And then your standing knee has twisted, causing instability in your standing leg's rotation and potentially damaging the joint of the knee. So really, the functional point here is to make sure that your standing leg rotation is maintained, regardless of whether this leg is rotating in or out. I hope you guys are following along with me so far, because this is where it's going to start to get interesting. What we want to do to help develop this rotation is to place your foot up on the bar. For most people, they can do this and have their toes point open while having their leg out to the side, so that what we can work on is developing the adductor strength, the hip flexor strength, and the stability of the glute and the deep rotators so that we can lift our leg. Now, if you can't get your leg this high, go to a lower bar, use a chair, use a couch, but this exercise is going to help you develop the strength to lift your leg, maintain rotation, and not have to move it super far forward when you're doing this. Place your hands on the bar, plie, and stretch 10 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's super important, that element, because what we're doing is every time we're plieing, we're trying to increase the rotation of our standing leg in opposition to the rotation we've now found in our working leg, which is going to stabilize and strengthen our standing leg's ability to turn out. Then from there, you're going to maintain the rotation you found in your standing leg, flexing your foot that's on the bar, lift up and back down, lift up and back down. And you're going to do that 10 times as well. And then you're going to do it on the other leg so that your legs are balanced and stable on both sides. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why does it even matter? What's wrong if my leg goes slightly diagonally forward? What's the problem? Is this going to really affect anything? I feel like it's stronger there. I feel like it's better. Here's the reason this is important, guys. Let's dive into this with as much nuance as possible. After we've done our pliés at the bar, we usually go into a tendu combination. Now, the tendu is there designed to establish our 3 directions: front, side, and back. We also have directions in between our corner line to the front and our corner line to the back, which come into play later when we get to rond de jambe. The reason this matters is when I go into a rond de jambe, I'm going to start with my tendu devant. As I come around, I need to try and keep my heel to the front by maintaining rotation in my femur. So from front to side, I can't let my leg go that way, because then I'm turning in my working leg. So from the front, we have to maintain the rotation as I get to the side, trying to keep as much rotation as possible in that working leg. From there, I have to keep the rotation as I go from the back through the écarté derrière, so that by the time I get to the back, I don't have this position where my leg has turned in. Because in order to come from a tendu derrière back through first position to continue the rond de jambe, I would have to externally rotate extra so that I could close my heel forward, because we always close heel first as we come in from tendu derrière, and then be able to keep my heel coming forward more as I come to the front to continue the rond de jambe. So even if you're unable to get your leg with a flat rotation to the side, the leg still has to pass through a side alignment, which means we need to be strong in that alignment to support rotation and stability on both legs. Now, you might be asking, what about fifth position? I found that I can get it out to the side when I'm coming from first. Maybe I've even found my second position. But if I'm in fifth and I don't have flat turnout, what do I do? How do I get my leg out to the side? Realistically, guys, you're going to have to go through first position and out, through first position and in, through first position and out, through first position and in, because we still have to go back to that fundamental first when passing from a fifth out, fifth in. That way, our leg still passes through a side-lying alignment for things like royale, entrechat, changement, any type of battu where our legs need to go side to side so we don't create a circular pattern in our battu work. Now, all of this may be saying, okay, well, that's fine at the bar, but when I come to center, what does it even matter? How does this even come into play? And it comes into play in your pirouettes. Now, you may be asking, why? Why pirouettes? What does pirouette have to do with a la seconde? It has to do with your en dehors promenade, or tourlant, depending on which version of technique you're based in. We can all agree that there are 4 walls and 4 corners in any room or stage that we're working on. So we have front, corner, side, corner, back, corner, side, corner. When we do our tourlant en dehors, so I'm turning outwards, and I put my foot into coup de pied, and I want to turn en dehors, I cannot go like this with my standing leg, continuing to turn in, because eventually I'll lose my rotation and the turn will fail. That will also happen in a pirouette if we haven't established the rotation and counter rotation of our legs. So when we start in our position here, we have to push this knee open, almost like it's going to the next corner. So from here, as my body is going to go towards that corner, my knee is going to the back corner so that I can get to there and maintain rotation. From here, my knee goes to the back wall as my body goes to that wall, and so on. Continuing that my working leg, the foot that's in coup de pied, continues to open me into the next direction. This is very important so that when you're turning, we don't drop in on that side. Enter the power of the adductors. Our adductors are the counter to our external rotators. Our adductors want us to come back to neutral. They want us to be happy and secure and stable in this parallel position. Ballet doesn't allow that, guys. So we have to be thinking adductors working to stabilize, but not internally rotate. And that's where, when we get into this position, we're not pulling everything back together, but we're using it almost like if you were to stretch your arm, but not fully stretch, or stretch your leg, but not fully stretch. You're rotating, you're using the rotators, but you're engaging the adductors so that everything stabilizes and doesn't overturn in one direction or the other. That stabilization and then counter rotation of the opposite leg, the leg that's bringing us around the turn in the en dehors direction, is going to give you the stability to do your turns. And that all comes back to when we leave a secure, stable first position and move our leg out to the side, the ability to counter rotate both legs in opposite positions, even if we don't move our heel forward to the point where it's facing flat to the front. It's all about equal position between our toes and our heels and equal rotation on both sides. So as you can see, guys, the à la seconde alignment is very important. It has a lot of influence on later technique and further development in the things that we're going to use in ballet. And oftentimes, if the leg does drift forward, we can always work to strengthen and get it more to the side. It's all about working on the rotation and the counter rotation of our standing leg to make sure that everything is stabilized. Now, this is just a little bit of a dive into the rotation and the development of à la seconde, the purpose of à la seconde, and how it relates to our technique. If you want me to go deeper, if you want me to add some exercises or to teach you guys how to work on developing that at higher points, let me know in the comments and I will definitely dive into that. But in the meantime, remember to practice for many years.